Oh my god, guys, do you hear that? It sounds like the Year Freakout! Hey, what's up? I'm Olivia, aka Biblioghoul, and today I'll be doing the Mid-Year Freakout Tag, which is a bunch of questions related to my reading habits for the first half of the year. Do I want to do this video just so I can do a panic thumbnail? Giving all Aussie vibes. Alright, here we go. So the first question is, what is the best book that you've read this year? There's a solid top two. That would be The Death of Vivek Oji and Transcendent Kingdom, and probably with If I Would Tell You the Truth coming in third. I really love lyrical writing. I love writing with really strong characters, so it's no surprise that I would gravitate towards these. I think Transcendent Kingdom is one of those novels where you know it's going to be about one thing and instead it gives you like 5 million things. I really loved being in the main character's head and getting her reflection on science and religion, being a second generation Nigerian American, addiction and what a cure would look like for that, abandonment by parents. This book has it all. The Death of Vivek Oji, so many different characters' perspectives, reflection on queerness in Nigeria and found family, the mental, emotional, and physical costs of being yourself when you're queer. But just lovely storytelling and characters. Definitely read them if you haven't. The best sequel I read this year is the only sequel I read this year. I don't read a bunch of series, but I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown. It was probably one of my favorites in the series. A romance book with just enough spice. For those of us that don't have our lives together and are looking for love. For people that are autistic that are looking for representation in romances. This book was sweet, and I'm looking to find similar romances to these novels. So if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. Next question is new releases that I want to read. This month I'm reading a bunch of queer novels, and I currently have Sorrowland and The Chosen and the Beautiful in my grubby little fingers, so it's about to go down. I've been waiting for these all year. And I also have One Last Stop on hold, so I'm really excited to read all of those. The next question is a book that you are most anticipating for the second half of the year, and honestly most of my anticipated books for 2021 are for the first half of the year, so I probably need to beef up that list. But one that I was looking forward to is called A Lesson in Vengeance, which is a great title, and it follows someone returning to this, is it a school that's haunted, and there was like a coven of witches or something, ghosts, witches, the occult. Sign me up, I'm there, let's go. The next question is, what books were the most disappointing for you this year? I have a few. I feel like there's different levels to disappointment. There are the ones that just sucked, and there are ones that were alright, but you thought it was going to be your new fave, so it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. One like that for me would be Lost in the Neverwoods by Aiden Thomas, because I loved Cemetery Boys, and this book was just really underwhelming to me. And I was interested to see what could be interpreted with the Peter Pan story, but it felt pretty average to me. Everybody read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson this year, and I read and engage with a lot of history, and I just thought the comparison to Indian caste system was so necessary and not very well done, and this book didn't really offer a lot of new information. So yeah, not bad, just fine. There's Hummingbird Salamander, which I was looking forward to some wonky sci-fi vibes after watching Annihilation, and instead I got action book that has a slightly sci-fi spin and typical like male action book that I don't care about reading at all. And A Guide to Being Born, which as you can see had a beautiful cover. I was looking for mystical things, I was looking for whimsy, and the book was certainly weird. It had really unique stories that explored interesting things, but the writing just wasn't there for me, and it didn't make me feel like I was questioning my existence, like the title made me think. I feel bad dumping a bunch of disappointment there. Maybe I'll cut one of those out. Biggest surprise. I do a lot of research on the books that I want to read, so I haven't had many surprises. After I started getting into reading again, I wanted to make sure I was spending my time reading books that I really cared about after getting flops and trying to read what everyone else was reading. But yeah, my coworker recommended Magic Fish to me. It was magical and wonderful, mixing European fairy tale with Vietnamese fairy tale with a Vietnamese American young boy who's coming out as gay. So definitely check that out. Also Whereabouts by Jhumpa Lahiri I just read, and it was one of those books that everyone just said she was a great writer, so I checked it out, but I didn't know what it would be about. And I wasn't expecting melancholy, lonely, taking the pleasure in the small things in life vibes. And I really identify with that, so I enjoyed it more than I knew I would. New favorite author, Akwaeke Emezi. Can I say that with having read only one book? I don't know. But I'm reading Freshwater as soon as I finish Ring Shout, which is a short novel, so I'll be able to tell you very soon. And I don't think I'll be disappointed. Apparently, I really love Nigerian authors, guys. Fictional crush is not applicable. Maybe if I read more romances. I can't even think right now what like my current book crush is, besides like ones that I read in middle school. So I don't know. Do you have a book crush that I should know about and also become obsessed with? Comment below. What was your favorite character that you've read this year? I have a dual answer. First is Julian Diaz from Cemetery Boys. I know I'm kind of late to the party on this one, but the relationship between Julian and Yadriel was just precious, and the levity and depth that Julian's character brought to everything, and I could totally see myself geeking out as a ghost as well. And my other pick is the roller derby community in Bruised. Even though the main character was insufferable, the whole community of the roller derby, especially the older lesbian couple where one was a past announcer of the games and one was a past player, and all the people that have faith in Daya and try to work through her trauma by offering such a loving community, was just so heartwarming to read. The next question is, what book made you cry? You know what Fergie said, big girls don't cry. No, I'm playing. Everybody has those days. I haven't cried at a book this year. Maybe I've had like a little like misty-eyed moment, had the tears in the eyes that did not fall. But I guess I would say the death of Vivek Oji. I mean, it's not a spoiler, he dies, so just having the emotion of his parents and his lover and friends dealing with his death, especially with him dying at a young age and just beginning to come into his true self, and his parents dealing with whether or not they truly knew him when he was alive. It's just heartbreaking and so well written. And if I tell you the truth, just the poetry and prose makes everything so intimate, and the mother-daughter relationship, dealing with their undocumented status and the trauma after rape and being the child of a rape. It was just so well done. What book made me happy? I realized that I had a bunch of disappointing books and not much that made me happy, but that's just because I read a lot of books that are good but don't give those happy feels. But one I really enjoyed was One to Wad. It's about a plus-size woman who's complaining about the book's version of The Bachelorette not having plus-size people on it, and the show actually invites her on because she has this huge social media following to be the next Bachelorette. And I love reality TV. I love all things trashy. So this book was just a really delightful, fast, fun read that had me on the edge of my seat, regardless of whether I think it was amazing writing or like made all the decisions I would have made. I just really had such a fun time reading it. honorable mentions for books that didn't make me happy, but books that made me happy that I read them because they were amazing. I would put 4 books in this category. I would put Care Work, Detransition Baby, Luster, and Such a Fun Age. All of these books were so nuanced and examined interesting topics and were not comfortable, and I haven't stopped thinking about them since I read them. Alright, we're moving along. So the next question is, what is the most beautiful book that you bought or received this year? And for received, my aunt truly takes the cake. She knows that I love books and all things spooky, so she got me this beautiful book. So I got, you know, the gold edges. Ooh, I've never owned something so fancy. It's got the spooky font. It's got Poe, Stoker, all the freaks like me. So yeah, I've been reading it slowly because it's a big boy, but it's just stunning. And so thank you so much to my aunt. Again, don't usually buy books, but I had to buy Fangs after I read it because I just think it's so stunning and dramatic, just like me. So I had to have it. So the next question is, what books would you hope to read by the end of the year? I feel like this is always evolving as I get better recommendations from watching awesome booktubers and reading different forums. But I would love to read some classics by Toni Morrison, Alice Walker. I would love to continue reading more history books, learning more world history, learning more about my specific interest in history. I have this book, Force and Freedom, Black Abolitionist and the Politics of Violence, which basically takes the whole white abolitionists influencing people through novels like Harry Beecher Stowe and trying to change white people's emotional response to slavery, and instead looking at black abolitionists and how they use force and violence. And today the narrative is pushed that, oh, nonviolence is the answer, MLK was amazing, etc., etc. But yeah, I'm really excited that this book came out and excited to read it, and I might have this person speaking at my work maybe, so exciting. And we do this to We Free Us by Miriam Kaba, about abolitionist organizing today and transformative justice, something I'd love to read a lot more about. So those two are definitely on my list. Also, how is it that I have not yet read my most anticipated book for 2021? Which is right here. I talked about it in my May TBR, but I didn't get to it because when you're getting books from the library, you're always pressured to read them when they come in, and I feel like I've been suffering with some of the few books that I have in person. So this will definitely be a priority next month for me to read. Some other books are Skinfolk, A Dowry of Blood, Homegoing, Next Year in Havana, The Song of Achilles. So let me know if you've read any of these and which ones I should prioritize. The last question is kind of anticlimactic because it is, what's your favorite book to movie adaptation? I don't really read, I haven't really read any of these. I've read American Gods this year, but I haven't seen the show. I used to love Neil Gaiman when I was in middle school, so I thought I'd finally read this book. I love mythology, and I was really excited, and honestly, it was kind of a meh read for me. A lot of people have had this critique, but there isn't much of a plot so much as meeting different gods and goddesses, and some of the gods we meet I didn't find as compelling, but the idea that new gods are arising because of what we value in our society and the old gods are suffering and having less power because we don't care about them anymore is a really compelling idea, and I wish there was a different story there. But would I still watch American Gods the show? Probably. Because you never know where the show could go. I did like the Good Omens show. I love Crowley and his different outfits. A style icon. So yeah, those are all the questions. I'm also gonna film a mid-year check-in on my 2021 goals because I got a YouTube channel after I made those goals and talk about all my anticipated books and how I've been enjoying them so far. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching.